Hello friends of the electrified charging fun and welcome to Speicher Elektrisiert, your channel all around Skoda's e-mobility. My name is Matthias and today we talk about the new model year 2024 which Skoda releases very soon. We look at the changes they did to the ENYAQ, we speak about new functions and features and a bit about what stays the same. Because the new model year looks a bit like a facelift, even if it isn't one. So let's kick it off. As you already see, there is some changes. I'm not sitting in my ENYAQ right now. I'm in my home office, which I build a bit around the stuff I have here to get an improvised studio to make the recording, because that makes it easier to read something from the screen, because this video contains a lot of information. And therefore, why should I sit in my old ENYAQ when I'm talking about the new model year? The other change, of course, is this video was only possible with the immense support from Skoda. I needed a lot of information, I needed a lot of images and stuff I'm showing you in this video, and therefore they provided me this. This video is just about what will come, because we do not see any model year 24 on the road already. There is no test drive available as far as I know. And as soon as possible, I will test drive the car. And of course, I know what you're all keen about. It's the new software. And Skoda only talks with the new software of version 4.0. There is no ME anymore. So in the future, I will call the software versions like this. They're the 4, there's a 3, and the old ENYAQs have software version 2. And I know you all want to see the software version 4 in action. And as soon as possible, I will deliver this content, so stay tuned. As of now, we will start with the hardware upgrades the model year 2024 gets, and the first thing we talk about is the electric engine. So let's talk about the new electric engine for the rear axle. This new engine is called APP 550 and is a new development from Volkswagen and will also has its debut in the model year 2024. And one thing they did, they significantly improved the power and the torque of this machine. So before, this rear machine had 150 kilowatts and the new one delivers 210 kilowatts. That's 60 more, and that's really impressive. And to be able to do this, they also improved another part, and that is the inverter, which provides the current for the engine. So as you know, your battery has direct current and your electrical engines need alternating current, so there must be a part which converts the one to the other, and this is the inverter. And they increased the amperes the inverter can deliver. And as we know from the old ENYAQ with software version 3.0, this is at a maximum 800 ampere that it delivers as discharge. And I'm quite curious how high they got with the new inverter, so I cannot wait to get my hands on a model year 2024. Let's go a bit into the details of this new machine. And when it comes to the details, there's another important part. They also increased efficiency. And we will have a look first at this efficiency increases and how they did it. I'll just show you the details of the efficiency measures they did. You can see it in this image, and we'll start on the left side with the inverters. So they optimize the variable clock frequencies. That means how they get the alternate current. And they did another improvement for the modulation models. This is how the alternate currents gets done. So you need to hack them, the direct current, and you need to cut them so that it gets alternate current. I do not want to go too deep in these details because I'm not profound enough in English to explain it. So if you want to know it, there are videos on YouTube which explains that. Now let's go a bit further to the rotor. The rotor has new magnets which are more temperature stable. And now let's move to the stator, and this has a new thin and optimized lamination stack for the copper windings. The next one is a heatsink, and there we have a better oil-water cooling, which is now demand-based. Let's move on to the gearbox, They did also something there, something they polish. They did a special polishing on something, I don't know what it is. And the last part is the gear housing. This explains itself, friction optimized bearings assemblies, so less friction. All these measures are just for efficiency. So I'm really curious how much more efficient the new model year will be compared to the older models with the older software version. And the next one we look at now is the measures for high performance. I'll show you again here in an image. And we'll again start on the left. So at the inverter, as already said, it can generate more current. So we get more ampere out of this, which for the new motor is essential. Then the rotor has stronger permanent magnets than before. The stator has a better effective number of windings of the copper inside. And the heatsink again has an optimized oil water cooling for more performance. So I guess it can cool more than before. So the next thing they needed to do was to reinforce the structure of the gearbox and the gearbox housing that it can withstand the higher performance the motor can generate. And here you go. This is the all-new MEB drive APP 550, which will have its debut in the model year 2024. This is a really fine piece of engineering we are looking at here. And now with this new electrical engine, definitely Volkswagen and as well Skoda is stepping up the game when it comes to electric cars. Let's talk about possible battery changes with the model year 2024. And as you can see, I could not record this video in one take. I had to do it on several occasions. As you can see, head is shaved, beard is groomed, and the light behind me has a shadow. So there are some changes to the videos you saw before and some you will see later on. But back to the batteries. The batteries will remain the same. But first of all, we need to separate what batteries are built in the ENYAQs. Well, in the current model year, not 2024, there are basically two manufacturers. This is CATL or CATL, which provides the batteries for the 50, the 60 and the 80. And there's LG Chem, which provides the batteries for the 80X and the RS. And this will remain the same with the new model year. So 50 is omitted, 60 gets still the kettle battery, 85 gets the kettle battery, 85X, RS, and Lorraine and Clement 85X gets the LG Chem battery. This is not perfectly precise because back in the days there was a time where every ENYAQ got the LG Chem battery, but for the model year 2024 this does not have any meaning, so let's keep it that way. Now, the batteries do not change. They are still the same cells, they are still in the same order like series and parallel wiring, and they have still the same capacity, so 77 kilowatt hours net and 82 kilowatt hours gross. No changes here, so the 85 does not indicate a bigger battery. It's just naming. But what may have changed? Well, that's the BMCE, the Battery Management Controller. And this hasn't changed for the kettle battery. The kettle battery is all the same, so you will not see big improvements here when it comes to the performance data, which I show you later on. But the LG Chem battery got a new BMCE. So think of the BMCA as the brain of the battery. And with the new brain that the LG Chem battery got, it gets a big improvement when it comes to performance, and you will learn about that later in the video. So that is what changed with the batteries. It's the controller with the LG Chem. Another hardware change is rather minor because nothing in this hardware of the ENYAQ changes as much as the rear engine. This one I counted to hardware, you can count it to design as well, is on the rear part of the ENYAQ. There the complete fonts will change, it will have its new CI, the corporate identity of Skoda. So the letters of Skoda will change to the modern solid design and they get rid of the IV. this is no longer the name of the model year 2024, so the IW is omitted, and at its place there is the model version now. And for me, I'll show you it right up here. It looks much cleaner on the back because it's just one line with ENYAQ and the model and Skoda above. Before you had the IW, and beneath the IW there was the model number, so this looks much better. And please write me in the comments what you think of Skoda's new CI. Do you like the new design, or are you rather one who thinks the old design was better? Let's talk about the changes in the model variants, what will be offered, what will not be offered, and just one thing directly in front of this. This is highly dependent on the country organization of Skoda, in which country you live. They can decide what they will offer in their respective markets. Like for example, here in Switzerland, the iW50 was never available, and the Coupe was only available as RS version, never as 85 or 80X. So your country organization decides what they will offer to you. Now let's start with the model year 2024 and what in general will change. And the first thing is the iW50 will be omitted. It will be not available anymore. The iW60 will stay the same, and this is another huge important information. It will keep its electrical engine, there is no new engine, and it will keep its software. So the iW60 will still be delivered with software version 3 instead of 4. Software version 4 is only for the models 85 and up. Please keep that in mind if you are interested in an iW60. So the next model available is the iW85, then the 85X, which is the all-wheel drive version of this, and then there is the RS variant. We know all these variants from before. New is a special edition called Lorraine and Clement L&K, which will be available in certain markets and will be available as 85 or 85X. And then there is the Sport line. In some countries it was just an option you can buy. In other countries it was a complete variant, like here in Switzerland. And new, the Sport line is always an own model or variant. And the Sport line is available as 60, 85 and 85X. Let's move on. The design collections or design selections for the interior will merely stay the same. What changes here is the new special edition L&K has two new options solely for this model called black or shell. All the colors stay the same. There are no new exterior colors. And all the packages, as far as I know, stays the same. So it starts with Clever, then you move on to Plus. Plus, by the way, is the base in Sportline. Then you move on to Advanced and then to Max. And then there's of course the RS package, which is exclusively the base of the RS model. So you do not have to pick it. It's in the base configuration. And then there is the package which is exclusively for L&K, the L&K package. And here's another information. Which package is the base could be decided by a country organization. So maybe they put a higher package in the series model and make the price accordingly. Then there are some single items as before, the panoramic sunroof, the heat pump, and here as well. In Switzerland, the heat pump was always series. In other countries, the heat pump you had as an option. The tow bar will remain an own option. The net screen for the back will stay an own option, and the transport package as far as I know. So this is a complete overview. If you want all the details, please use the online configurator from Skoda. I know it's not available in every country right now. The Germans have it already online. Other countries are still waiting. So keep an eye on that until the configurator shows up, and then you can go into all the details. And next, we look up at the performance values of the model year 2024. Now, after we heard what versions will be available of the ENYAQ, let's talk about the data for this version. And since it's a lot of data, I will show them in little boxes just here. On the left side, you've got the old data from the current model year, and on the right side, I'll show you the data from the new model year 2024. Also, please be aware that there are differences between the SUV or the base version and the coupe. I am talking about the base version's data in the video. The coupe data is only shown in those boxes. Let's start with the IV60, which becomes the 60, and that's all that changes. As I already said, the 60 stays the same like the current model year, so you don't see any changes here. Power output is identical, acceleration, range and stuff like that. But just wait a moment, the range differs a bit. It has a bit more of range and I can't tell you why. Maybe a new measurement, maybe some other tweaks, I don't know, but it's barely more range. So yes, this car is simply the same as before. Let's move over to the IV80, which becomes the 85. And the first thing we see is a huge improvement in the power output. We are going up from 150 kilowatts to 210 kilowatts. That's 60 kilowatts more. And of course, this is because of the new rear engine, the APP 550. And by the way, this name indicates the torque. 550 stands for a maximum of 550 Newton meter torque available. But let's go through the data in detail. Due to this new powerful engine, you get a much better acceleration of nearly 2 seconds faster to 100 kilometers an hour. And you get also some range increase up to 565 kilometers. And the battery, that stays merely the same. As you can see, 135 kilowatts peak charging is the same now, and 10 to 80% is just 1 minute faster. And as I already told in the battery chapter, they did not change the kettle battery, so there can't be any improvements. The top speed is going up to 180 kilometers an hour from 160 kilometers an hour. The torque, as already told, goes up to 550 Newton meters. Before it was 310 Newton meters. The tow capacity, the braked tow capacity stays the same as the current model. So with an 8% incline, you have 1,200 kilograms, and with a 12% incline, you have 1,000 kilograms. No new values here. So now let's move on to the all-wheel drive versions. First off, there is the IV80X, which becomes the 85X. And here you do not see that much more power output. It's just 15 kilowatts more from 195 to 210. Thus, the acceleration just gets better with 0.2 seconds. And the range just improves slightly to 538 kilometers. But now let's look at the battery stats. This is amazing. We are going up from 135 kilowatts peak to 175 kilowatt peak. This is due to the new battery management controller the LG Chem battery got, because the 85 still has the LG Chem battery. And look at the next step. 10 to 80 is now 28 minutes, not 36 anymore. And those who remember the ENYAQ before software ME3 back in the days had 38 minutes. So a 10-minute improvement over the lifespan of this battery, great. And top speed also goes up to 180 kilometers an hour from 160 kilometers an hour. Now you want me to talk about torque and I can't. Let's wait to the end of this chapter where I will explain torque to you. And we skip it right now. Going over to the tow capacity, the brake tow capacity also remains the same. It's 1,200 kilograms with 8% incline and 1,000 kilograms with 12% incline with the 85X. Now let's move over to the last one, the RS. And as you can see, it stays the same. The RS is also the RS with 2024. The power output gets to 250 kilowatts. That's 30 kilowatts more than before. And please keep in mind, technically the RS is identical to the 85. Same engine, same battery. So as you can see, the 85 is artificial limited as I would look at it. But we're talking about the RS. Acceleration goes down 1 second, so now it's 5.5 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour, and the range improves great. As you can see, we are now up to 541 kilometers, and that's a big improvement considering what it was before. The battery, as already said, with the 85X, the LG Chem gets this huge improvement in the RS as well, going up to 175 kilowatts peak charging, having 10 to 80% in 28 minutes. The top speed stays 180 kilometers an hour like before. So if you hope that there will be an increase to 200 kilometers an hour, no, there isn't. It stays the same. The brake toe capacity of the RS also stays the same, so with an 8% incline it's 1,400 kilograms, and with a 12% incline it's 1,200 kilograms. Torque, as already said with the 85X, I cannot tell you. And that's why we jump over to this right now. When we look at the current model year, we have all torque values, or the maximum torque. For the 60 and for the 80, it's 310. For the 80, which get the 85, it will be 550. The 80X has 425 Newton meter top torque, and the RS 460. So with the current model year. For the new model year 85X and the RS 24, I do not have those values. Really, I waited till 12 hours before publishing this video to bring this information to you, but I simply didn't got it. And then I had to record and edit and render and stuff like that, so I couldn't wait any longer. Why isn't it possible to give these values for the model year 24? They gave us that back in the days for the older ones, so where is the problem? Yes, we all know it's a maximum value, so it's highly dependent on driving situation and stuff like that, and you will not always get maximum torque. And the engines are working together, and so not both engines will always have peak torque at the same time, so we simply cannot add them up. But what value do you want to add up? We simply do not know the specific torque of the front engine, which stays the same. So taking the data from back in the days, if you do math, it could be back 310 with all versions, front 425 with the 80X. So is front engine 150 Newton meter? But you cannot simply subtract as well as you cannot add them, because the RS has 460 Newton meters back in the day. So is the front engine 150 Newton meter? On the Audi website for the Q4, you find values about 134 Newton meter. So it's pure speculation. And yes, we all know you cannot simply add them up, especially since we have a synchronous motor back and an asynchronous motors in the front. But please, just drop some max values and everybody is happy. And as soon as I get my hands on those values, I will pass them over to you. So as of now, we only know the rear engine for every ENYAQ except the 60 will be 550 Newton meters starting with model year 2024. One often demanded function will be in the model year 2024, the so-called wall function or walk-away locking if you prefer the long version. Yes, in the model year 2024, starting with the package Clever as part of the Chassis Advanced, you can just walk away from your ENYAQ and it locks itself. In the previous models, in the previous model years, this simply didn't work. You had to lock your ENYAQ manually. The only thing that works back in the days was if you open the ENYAQ, unlock it, and do not enter it, then after 30 seconds, it locks itself again. Now you can simply just walk away and the car locks. This is a huge improvement, but it comes with a caveat. This is that in the app, the My Skoda app, this function is, as far as I know, not available. So there you still cannot say lock or unlock the car. Before we jump straight into the software update, we first look at a minor hardware change in the interior, and this is the physical buttons below the main display. I'll just show you how they look in the current ENYAQ, and there we start left to the right with set, which leads to this obscure screen where you can jump into other functions. Then you have the mode for the drive profile selection. Next are the park assistants. Then you have on the right side climate, and then the heating for the front and for the rear windshield. And the new model looks like this. And you see they have new icons. So they put in their new corporate identity, their new design. And we have a minor functional change just on the left. The set button disappeared, and new we have an assist button, which does what it states. If you hit this button, you're directly where all the assistants are listed, and you're able to change them. And now let's have a look at the new software version 4.0. And at this point, again, important message, the ENYAQ 60 model year 2024 will not get it. It will stay on the software version 3. So now let's have a look at 4.0. And as there are no live tests or live videos available, as far as I know, I can only show you screenshots. So I cannot talk about performance or usability right now because I simply cannot test it. And everything I tell you from the screenshots is what I think, how it works out, and they are also subject to change. So please understand that these screenshots might not be how you get your model 2024 with software version 4.0, but they give a good indication what will happen. And the first thing I show you right now is the new home screen. And the first thing we see is it's much cleaner. This is more sleek. This looks way more modern, what we see here, than before. It has a bit of the appearance of an Apple CarPlay or a Google Auto, in my opinion. And it's just, for me, regarding when I'm looking at the old software, it's a huge improvement in the visuals. And when we look at this, you see the bottom line with the home button, temperature and co has become a bit smaller. And they also need to make room for a new option, the cooling or of the seat, which only is available in the L and K model, not in the other models. I do not know why, but if you want heating and cooling of the seat, you only have the option to buy an Allen K. So what else changes here is how you can customize and arrange the screens. As you know from the old software, you have a grid where you could put single tiles. And often you had to make compromises. You could put tiles only once, and there was always some white space left where nothing really fits. They changed that completely, as far as I understood the screens, with the new software version. Now you have 5 screens available, 3 with fixed layouts, where the content is adjustable. So now you can juggle around the content and it looks much better, so it's more fitting as I see it, but I'm really keen to test that in a real scenario. From this what I have here, I cannot tell you more, but it seems reasonable for me to go this way. And let's stick a bit with the new design here, and let's look at the line or the row below and above the main screen. Below you do not have so much changes. Yes, the icons changed a bit. There is a new home button and there is a new menu button, which is now 2 × 2 instead 3 × 2 squares, but that's minor changes. And you still have the same 3 application customization below, where you can put 3 applications. But what is completely new is the upper row. Now you have much more precise icons, in my opinion. Just look at the message icon on the right side, which is way better than the number in the round circle you had before, this looks much better. But the most important part here is on the left side. In the upper left corner, you have access to your vehicle, and I think this button is fixed. But all the other 5 on the right side of the vehicle button above is customizable. So instead of only having the 3 positions in the lower row, you now have an additional 5 positions up in the upper row, where you could put functions you like to have in direct access on the home screen. For me, this looks like a really good improvement. I want to see it in action to know what really is the improvement here. Next, let's have a look at climate. And when you look at the new screen, it looks much cleaner. It looks way more polished, and the real change on the left, there are no tabs. Maybe you remember I show you here software version 3 where you have 4 tabs. You had Smart AC, Classic AC, Air Care and Settings. All gone, all on one screen, and even though they put everything from this on one screen, it looks much cleaner. And as you can see, I think the icon of the person on the right, which is 3-dimensional, I'm not sure if this gets into production because it looks a bit odd when everything else is flat. So maybe this is subject to change. Another thing you see, on the upper right corner, you have the settings wheel. We know that from software version 3. At certain points you had that. And in other occasions you had the settings as a tab on the left lower corner. And as far as I can see, the new UI, the user interface, is much more consistent, is much more on usability, because they did not watch on the rule of expectation where parts are in the software version 3. It was juggling around, and sometimes the same position had different functions, which is a really bad habit in design. I think this is not anymore in the new model 2024 and the new software version 4. Now let's have a look at Laura. Laura is also redesigned. First off, she should now get comments much better, much more precise than before. She should understand you much better, and she looks a bit different in the car. Maybe you remember this large row, this large overlay when you talked to Laura before. I show you, and now it's just a simple green dot. I'm pretty sure the dot is animated. I cannot see this on a screenshot, this is for sure, but I think this dot is animated. And you see another thing. On the right side of the dot, there she shows you what she understood in real time. So when you talk to Laura, she transcripts it there, and you can directly see if she understands you right, or if you can directly cancel the command and do it again. Let's see how this works out in a real ENYAQ. If you jump into the menu, you can see they rearranged this also a bit in design. I show you the old menu, which I like more than the new one, but you do not know if this is really the final version. Now they have this square around the icons. Yes, I think this comes to your personal preference. Both menus will work perfectly fine, but it gets a bit of a new look. And I think when it comes to editing the menu, to move the entries around, to put them on your favorites, they did an improvement, because then it gets colored. I can't tell you exactly how this works from the screenshots. We need to see this in action. And now let's have a look at the vehicle menu. They improved that as well. And as you can see, here we have tabs. There are still 3 tabs on the right side: vehicle, status and data. But it seems much more clear again, much more designed and much more consistent. It is still the same function. You have to scroll through all these settings, and I do not know anything about the performance, if it's now running smooth or not, because simply it's just screenshots. And now let's look at data. I think this looks also much better than before, even though it's the same design as they had in software 3.0. And now I know what you are waiting for. You want to know something about one specific new function called preheating, and let's have a look in detail how they implemented preheating with software 4.0. Let's move on to that menu point everybody's waiting for, charging. I'll show you here the new charging screen. And as you can already see on the left side, we've got some tabs like charging, optimize locations. We know that from software version 3. But we see another thing, and that's a pity. Down here in the left in the left corner we have settings. And maybe you remember climate, where we had in the upper corner the settings. It is not consistent. So it seems, maybe this does not come to production, I don't know, but it seems that they don't keep it consistent at one place. I hope they will look into that. But that's not the point here. Let's talk about charging. And what you can see here, they even improved the normal charging screen, and that is great because as you can see now, they have a new bar in the middle with a much better slider to set the charging limit than before. As you may know, in the older ENYAQs with software 3, you had that thin line where you need to slide on, and it was very badly reactive, and yeah, don't talk about that. We are here with software version 4, and if you look at that screen, that's great. This slider is really good to make the setting you want. And now we are moving on to optimize, and there we find finally the battery preheating everybody's waiting for. And this screen looks like that, and that is amazing. Really, look at it. First off, preheating is available in 2 modes. The one we see here is the manual mode. And if you're not interested in manual mode because you are not a tech freak or nerd or something like that, just forget what I'm telling you right now. Just stick with the other mode, which is automatic. So if you navigate with the Skoda and there are chargers planned into your route, it will do this, what I'm talking about now, automatically so that you get the best charging experience. You do not have to do it manual. But there are certain use cases where manual battery preheating comes in handy. So maybe if you do not navigate and you need to charge, or if you want a real punch and performance in winter times and you want to heat up the battery, there are certain use cases. And what we see here is really great because the first information you get is the current rapid charging capability, which in this example is only 40 kilowatts. So you know where you're at now. That's great. And then below you can see optimization up to 120 kilowatts possible. You know where you can get and you know how long it needs. It's 12 minutes. And then you can just hit start battery heating and it will do its job. And when you activate it, it looks a bit like this. And of course, if you do not want manual battery heating anymore, you can stop it right here. This is such huge improvement. It's delightful. I love it. But it's only software version 4.0 and model year 2024. Why do I tell this? Yeah, I know this video is only about model year 2024, but out there are a lot of ENYAQ drivers with software version ME3 who hoped they get this. And you will never get this because you will never get software version 4.0 or higher. Skoda already told us this software is not compatible to old ENYAQs. And there's another part. Yes, there are discussions ongoing about bringing preheating to older ENYAQ, to the software version 3. I do not have any answer for you right now. I cannot tell you if it comes or when it comes, because the big company there in Wolfsburg stays silent about it. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know, but I am pretty sure this is nothing Skoda can do. Skoda can do its own UI, and they do it. This is designed by Skoda, by the way. So Skoda does its own design, you can see here, but they cannot build in own functions. This is purely done by CARIAD in Germany. And if preheating for ME3 ENYAQs will ever come, it is only dependent on Volkswagen and CARIAD and not Skoda. So this is an ME. So this video is not about the older ENYAQs, it's about the new model year. And But believe me, I am on it. I am trying to get this information for you if you get this function to your ENYAQ, even if you do not get the new software version 4.0. But let's stick with the new model year, and for the new model year with this new software, this is really great. And this is something which is so helpful in your daily driving experience, especially in winter times, especially in northern countries or in the Alpine countries. And I'm really, really happy that we get this feature right now. Skoda didn't stop in redesigning the interface with the main display. They also redesigned the cockpit display, and I'll show it right here. And as you can see, it looks so much better than with the old software version. It's so much better arranged. Just have a look at the information with the battery icon, the SOC percentage and the range. And now compare it here with an ME3. This icon with the which is on the right side with that plug, it was completely useless in software version 3. Now they do not have it anymore. They have the battery indicator in the middle, they have the percentage on the left and the range on the right, all in the same size. This looks really good. And now let's have a look at the center display here. Yes, the speed is at the same place, it's really great, and now you have the recuperation, the regeneration bar and the performance bar just beneath it, not so much way down there. So this is much better designed for information and for quick access to information. I really like that. Then they move the drive mode over to the left, the D and these arrows indicating the regeneration power. Really great. Then on the left, this looks much better, more concise, more precise than before. And now look on the right, the information, the data of the current driving, really great, integrated. And if you do not know what that is, this comes with software version 3.1. So if you have an ENYAQ with 3.0, you do not even know that this exists, and maybe you will get it some. Okay, let's go back to software version 24. This looks better than the display you see here from version 3.1. All in all, much better design, much crisper, much clearer, and I love that. They also redesigned the head-up display, but I do not have an image, so I cannot show you. I know they have done it, I simply cannot show you. Sorry about that. I'm pretty sure you now have several questions which you like to be answered. And the first one, of course, is when does production of the new model year starts? Well, the answer is quite simple. Production will start with the beginning of November. So we're talking about calendar week 44, 45. The exact date, I do not know. I just know that. But when you hear this, you had a much better indication than before, where a lot of rumors were ongoing that production had already started in July or will not start this year, or whatever is out there. So now you can really look up the calendar week and you're good to go. But why is this question so important to so many people? One is for sure, if you've ordered a model year 2023, what will happen with my order? And the answer isn't that simple, it depends. You may be lucky that it gets switched over to a model year 2024. But if your dealer in your finds a stock car within the country organization which fits your order, then you might get what you've ordered, a model year 2023. And if he's not able to get one, and if there is not something which has already been ordered or is already in production now, then the chances are high that you get switched over to the new model year. Maybe the best way is to talk about that with your dealer. And the other question often asked is, what is the average delivery time right now? It depends. I cannot tell you exactly it's so many weeks, but it highly depends on how many model year 2024 cars the dealership of a country has pre-ordered. I do not have these numbers, so I can only give you this answer for delivery time. Best way here is to ask your dealer. And for those who are thinking about ordering an ENYAQ right now, asking themselves, is it possible to order a model year 2024 right now? Yes, it is. But please tell your dealer that you explicitly want a model year 2024, because if he has some cars in stock or finds a car in stock within your country organization which fits your needs, you might get a model year 2023. Your dealer should tell you that too, but if you really want to be sure to get the new model year, tell your dealer and look up the contract you make that there is a model year 2024 stated, and then you're good to go. Now, to sum everything up, I allow myself to give my personal opinion and my conclusions on this topic. And if we are just looking at the model year 2024, we see that for Volkswagen, CARIAD and so Skoda is heading in the right direction. They made the improvements exactly where they needed to be, where the most improvements should be, like software and like the engine and stuff like that. And I know a lot of my viewers are driving an ENYAQ already, and they will sit there and they will be a bit angry and they will a bit disappointed because none of what I'm showing you today will come to your old ENYAQ. But let's keep the focus on the 2024 for a minute. The improvements made, the way they are heading is a good way, because it shows that they are able to improve and that they got their lessons learned together and used them to address these issues. I really appreciate that, because that makes them competitive in the near future, and I'm pretty sure we will see this happen also with the facelift models and so on. And please see it this way, I am one of you. I bought my ENYAQ back in the days, back in 2021. I got a model year 2022, an ME2 ENYAQ. I'm sitting in the same boat like you. And yes, of course I'm disappointed that I get nothing from this. And I'm thinking, will I be able to sell my car? And why did they use me as some early adopter beta tester? Yes, these feelings occur, and I'm pretty sure they occur with you too. And if I look at this from a more distant point, see it like this. Every car will be sold someday. Every leasing ends. Every company car will be changed at a certain point, and you get a new car. And one thing is also very clear. In the end, even if this channel does not always show this, I'm pretty happy with my ENYAQ. It ticks nearly all the boxes I need from a car. And I really like my ENYAQ. And I would continue with the ENYAQ because a lot of stuff is good in daily life. Software isn't a part of this list, and thus it needs to be improved, and that's why I'm happy to see they did that. And it's pretty obvious I might stick with Skoda because, yes, they built the car I'm looking for when it comes to design, when it comes to usability, not software, but the car itself. And it has a lot of features I do not find with the competitors. So I like to see that they head in this way, and that is a good one. And please write me in the comments how you feel right now. Are you happy with the new model year? Are you angry that you do not get it? Are you disappointed? Just write it all down there so Skoda can see it. Don't forget, there are 125,000 old ENYAQs out there who do not get anything you see there. And if you also count the ID3, ID4 and ID5s who will never see any of this update of the new model year, this is a large number. And I'm not sure if they can ignore them completely. So please use the comments, write me what you think, and write also about your feelings if you are driving an ENYAQ who will never receive these updates, and we will see what we can manage to achieve together when we talk to Skoda. That was really a lot of information in one video. It's all I found out. It's all that Skoda provides me. It's my own speculation I put in. And there was a lot of research done, a lot of communication going on. But I'm really happy that I get everything together like this. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And also consider to subscribe if you haven't already, because that helps the channel to get more reach. That grows the community, and this community really has an impact at Skoda. It's not the biggest one, but there is one, and more about that in another video. And maybe consider to give me a small donation via YouTube thanks or PayPal to support me in doing all this work. Also, consider to become a paid member of this channel. There are 3 levels starting very low, and even if you do not have real benefits of this, you really help me out to create such content you got right now. And then I hope to see you in the next video, and until then, stay full of energy.